Hi, I'm Allie. I am so happy to be here and I want to share with you a story of how I got from betrayal to self loyalty. It's actually about a 12-year journey. Looking back on it now, there have been some really difficult, devastating, and painful times. And yet, honestly, I would not change a thing. I have learned so much. And who I am today, well, I am Allie 2.0. And you will find out over the course of several videos what my story is and how I got here. So let's start with 12 years ago. I was married. All my children were grown and living away from home. I was running two companies. I was driving and pushing and full of vigor and energy that was really an unhealthy way to be. And one day, an event occurred where I realized that my husband and my best friend were having an affair. They did it for a year in front of me, right in front of me. And I remember the day that I found out, I literally fell to the floor and the lights went out in my world. And I thought, who do I talk to? Because normally when I'm in that kind of pain, I would have talked to my husband or to my best friend. And so life drastically changed in an instant. And it took over a year for me to move from that devastated being who couldn't make a single decision on her own, who couldn't put two thoughts together because everything had shifted. I had no idea who I was. I was no longer a wife. I no longer had a best friend. I went through a huge financial loss where I lost my home, lost all my retirement, and essentially even left the town that I had lived in for 25 years, moved to another town where I only knew one person, and started over again. And in that process, I actually wrote a book to share my own excruciating pain, which, if anybody has gone through this, you understand. It is a soul wrenching identity crisis that can leave you in a very bitter and angry place. And that was something I had decided I was not going to let happen to me, which meant that I had to work through the things that all of us have to work through when we go through a betrayal, right? The whys and the hows and the what ifs and the what now. And I guess I did it. I did it. And I started working with other women and even some men to help them do it too, to move beyond betrayal. And what you find when you move beyond betrayal, it's the transformation of the butterfly, right? The caterpillar who sheds the skin over and over and over again until it can't shed it anymore. And then it wraps itself in the cocoon where it dissolves into mushiness, and in that mushiness are the imaginal cells of what will become the butterfly. And so that was the major transformation that I was in. I do remember people saying to me, "Oh, you must forgive, you must forgive." And oof, it was really difficult to forgive until I realized that the person I really needed to forgive was me. Because it wasn't the first time I had been betrayed. It was probably the most devastating time I'd been betrayed, but I'd been betrayed by my father, been betrayed by friends, been betrayed by bosses, by my body, even been betrayed by partners, business partners. And each time I just went right back into relationship from the same place of overgiving, of wanting to please, of not feeling quite good enough to deserve much better. So those were the things that I had to forgive myself for. And I did. I forgave myself for letting myself down, for self-sacrificing, for abandoning. And in doing so, I forgave them. It just was a natural occurrence that happened. I didn't even have to think about it. And I knew that the forgiveness had taken place because I was no longer charged. I didn't feel that anxiety in my body every time I thought about him or her. I felt neutral, which was wonderful. So I went out into my life, and what I found was that another piece of this was that I had been living in my masculine energy for many, many years. Masculine energy of creating with goals and signposts and landmarks along the way, and really looking at the target and knowing that's what I want and that's why I want it, and driving every day full of activity. I mean, my calendar was full. I was working 16-hour days back then. And then when my life fell apart and I no longer knew who I was, I went into my very feminine energy, soft, kind of unknown void where there was ease and there was gentleness and there was a lot of weeping, of course, but I was creating from the inside, which is very different and very slow. I think of it as a pregnancy, right? Where you find out you're pregnant and you fall in love with this thing inside of you that you don't even know yet. And that's kind of where I was when I moved away and started working on healing myself, was this unmotivated place. And I stayed there as I healed and did all the work I needed to do and came out of it slowly and started slowly getting back into the world. And boom, I was right back in that masculine, energy. I started to drive, try to push, try to force. And then I had a car accident. This is where I will leave you today. A car accident that really changed my life once again. Stay tuned.